I was muted. Hi, everybody. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to wish everybody a very warm welcome. Thanks for joining us here on MCG, Menorca Consciousness Group. But first, we're delighted to invite our very special guest, Jennifer Rose from the USA. Do we say the USA these days? I don't know. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us. Oh, good. Can you hear me okay?
Sorry. I was hearing you in double, so I had something went awry there. So I was hearing an echo. So let's see if we can.
How's that? Is that any better? Any good? I can't hear you now. Something always happens with the sound when we. Something always happens with the sound when we're chatting.
I know. I think the energies are very strong. So I think the energies are very strong. So okay. So I'm going to try one more time. If not, I'm going to go sans the AirPods. See.
Okay, let's do that. I'll just say a quick hello to everybody. Hi, Ria. Lovely to see you.
Perfect.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Deborah Paxton, thank you for joining us. So lovely to see you. So pleased that you've been able to join us. So thank you so much. Jennifer McCormack. Hi, Jennifer. B, who's B? Now then. So thank you so much. Just want to introduce yet again. Hi, Nancy. Jennifer Rose from America. Jennifer, thank you so much.
Colin, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so happy to be here with you and seeing all of our wonderful friends here in the comments too, like Michael and Fran and Lynn and Nancy and Michael, Christopher, and Dominic. Hi, everybody. So I'm really excited to be here with you, Colin. You're one of my favorite people, so I'm excited. Thank you.
Oh, you make my heart melt. Oh my goodness, Valentine's yesterday as well. Oh, thank you so much. Same here, likewise, obviously, clearly. I just wanted to let everybody know Jennifer does amazing. She's doing so much. And I know it sounds a cliche with a lot of chats and things, what's going on lives these days, but sincerely, from my point of view, I really mean it. Jennifer's doing amazing, helping so many people speak in the most beautiful words and teachings, where everybody can benefit. I often, even though I'm not a guest on some of the occasions, sometimes I like to just jump onto Jennifer's site because she has some beautiful guests and the conversations are beautiful. So I really appreciate that you've joined us, Jennifer. And this thing about love is amazing. But just keeps permeating. So tonight, really, we as it says, channeling, talking about channeling. I better say hello to a couple more. I'm going to say hello to Sarah, Lisa, Nancy, Fran. Hi, everybody. Oh, is anybody you'd like to say hello to, Jennifer?
Oh, yeah, all of our friends. Beautiful. Okay. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes. Yeah.
There's no feedback. Okay, I have very little on my end, so as long as you can hear me, fine, beautiful. Thank you. Oh, I see Courtney is here, and Sarah and Lisa. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. And all of my gals here, Nancy and Fran are here too. I see Jennifer McCormack, Lynn. Hi, everybody. And Jess. Hi, everybody. Really happy to see you. Thank you for being here. Paneling is a fun topic to talk about, so I'm really honored that we got to discuss this today.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? There's so many, this is the spiritual space. We can speak about so many facets of this multidimensional topic. But for some reason, we got inspired for channeling. And I think one of the reasons is because it's in vogue. Channeling now is, first off, we've had a surge for many years, mediumship. If we go back just even 30, 40 years, 20, 30, 40 years, then it was all about mediumship. And then it slowly started changing. The psychic aspect started coming in. Psychic abilities now abound across the planet, mixed with mediumship. And now it seems, or it appears, that things are moving towards the channeling aspect, which I absolutely love. Of course, there's trance, which hopefully we can talk about. But it's kind of the current subject at the minute, as far as I can see. There seems to be more and more souls being inspired to channel what we may call transmissions, to transmit information, knowledge, teachings, however anybody perceives that to be, down into onto the earth plane. Of course, we benefit by it because we get to listen to the most beautiful knowledge and teachings going. What I'm finding, interestingly enough, is, and this is one I kind of wanted to throw in there this evening or today, is how the spiritual space is coping or going to handle these new influx of channels, what's coming in. Because we know a lot of people using the tape in their kind of write-up, I'm a channel, I'm a medium, etc., I'm a healer. And one of them ways is channel. I'm also a channel. And we know everybody perceives things in their own way, rightfully so. But what I'm seeing and witnessing is this influx of channels, as in these souls what are starting to transmit this knowledge and information rather than channel messages psychically or mediumistically. There's a great, we know the world is changing, we know these waves are bringing about this shift and ascension, etc. But one of the things I just wanted to look at is this influx of these minds what are coming into the spiritual space and the channeling this information. So I'm curious how the spiritual space, circles, centers, etc., are going to be embracing this. Will they be open enough to embrace it? Or I'm hearing stories where they've been rejected. People have gone, I'm channeling such and such, and in some spaces they've been rejected. It's like, no, we don't do that in here. So my thinking is that we've got no say in it. We've got to embrace this aspect of channeling. We're just, it's here. The same as what mediumship was here and psychic messages was here. Now channeling seems to be here. And we've got to wholeheartedly embrace it. Have you got any thoughts on that, Jennifer?
I do. You're absolutely right of what you're picking up on. And I get asked this question a lot because I teach trance and I teach trance healing too. And I've taken trance classes and worked on it for many years. But there was this kind of separation because people will ask me, what's the difference between trance and channeling? Like that comes up a lot. Like, what's the difference? Well, there really is none. You're in an altered state and you're channeling, you're just different levels of how deep you are, right? But if we go back into history, there was the mediumship, a side, and then there was another side, which is kind of more of like the new age spiritual movement kind of coming up in the later 1900s. And they seem to kind of be separate, right? And so if you were on the mediumship side, it was more called trance speaking, and it would be messages of philosophy, usually from a guide that had been on the earth plane or perhaps a Native American. But it would still be pretty connected to someone we would understand of an earthly nature, or perhaps they might, go a little bit more, into it like an angelic or something like that. But for the most part, was pretty much that's what we do and how we do it, right? Yeah. And then when the channeling kind of had a little bit of a surge in the late 1900s, and then kind of we went back towards mediumship again, working its way back up. But then when we look at the channeling community, there would be more like beings from other dimensions, angels, all of this, that's what we might call the star seeds or the cosmic planetary beings, and all of this came up. And so they seem to kind of have these sort of separate entities, yet trance and channeling are the same thing. So I think, and what I feel and what I'm intuitively getting is that there's kind of now a merging of the two. And I have seen other mediums who are becoming more, open to like embracing all of it too, because to think that like we're the only ones here and that other planetary beings wouldn't want to communicate with us, or that they don't exist or something, would be a little limiting. It kind of limits us too. So I found in my teaching, even just in my circles, my mediumship development circles, we are focused on evidential mediumship, but we're open to to guides, to angels, to spirit animals coming in, because we don't want to limit the spirit world. And when we keep it open like that, magic happens. So it's a very exciting time to see all of these beautiful words coming through. And it also feels exciting to see so many people opening up in this way, because that means there's a really large awakening happen. People are getting really tuned in and able to access some pretty cool information.
Yeah,
So
totally agree. Totally agree, Jennifer. I love what you said. This convergence is occurring, isn't it? But the next question, if I may, I wanted to ask another question here, because what you've said is now followed on, led to the next one, which is, do you think this acceleration of more channels now coming into the spiritual space is part of the ascension, what's also taking place? Do you think there's a direct kind of link between them both?
and it's like, as soon as you were asking that question, like I felt the spirit put the chills on me too. So they're
It's
already
kind of,
like, yep.
it's like it stands to reason. It's like as we ascend, well, I don't know whether that, I don't know, it's something going on behind the scene. It's like we're getting bigger and smaller. It's almost as if as we, you see, I have a tendency to put the dots and draw a picture in mentally. And it's like, so we're living on the planet, or we've landed on the planet. And at a time where the poles are melting, north and south poles. So there's a thawing out. And then from that thawing out, somehow there's a correlation between the thawing out of the ice on the planets and the awakening what's taking place on the planet. So I can't fit them both clearly together, but I know they're directly linked. And simultaneously, as we kind of expand and open up, it's almost like we're coming out of a state of incubation. And as we expand and open up, we know we're ascending. And therefore, as we ascend, in that expansion, through the awakening, through the ascension process, then the channeling is becoming very prominent. And I think, I don't know what you think, but I believe the channeling will be phenomenal across the planet. Absolutely phenomenal. And I think what we're going to witness is not just the transmissions of knowledge and words being channeled and transmitted, the light and the energy, what comes with that channeling is going to permeate. Any thoughts on that, Jennifer?
I agree.
Can you hear me okay?
Beautiful. Yeah, I can send you just, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That was beautiful. I was like taking all that in, and I love how you like connected all the dots and put all the pieces together, because that actually makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. And like, we're moving in this direction, and we always are. I think it's Deepak Chopra was talking about once in a book I read that we have destruction and we have creation, but it's not there, but we're always moving towards evolution, and so then there's this illusionary nature of the destruction, because it's always recreated. It's almost like it's just being reformulated, right? And so that's why we always keep edging towards evolution. And so it's interesting to see like how this just keeps accelerating and unfolding. It's just kind of getting a little faster and a little faster, a little faster. And we're starting to see things that feel like timeline shifts, and we can feel sometimes time seems slow and fast. And so there's a lot happening that's more than meets the eye, and it's like this physical reality is not really physical. It's all energy, but we have the beautiful ability to channel this reality as it is physical too. But then to see how it's moving in the direction of a different way of being human, a different way of expressing humanity as it is too. And with the channeling, as that keeps, expanding and more people start to access that, there's a lot of coding that is happening. So there's frequencies in the words and there's codes in the words. So it's like they're planting little seeds of awareness that help to spark the opening. And you keep hearing those seeds and they just add a little more layer of remembering of who we are too,
Yeah.
which is really wonderful. And the other thing with the channels too is there's layers behind layers behind layers. So what we think is the message in the beginning may be true, but there's so much more behind that because spirit is so highly intelligent. And the universe and the spirit world is very poetic, and there's the rhymes and the riddles of all of it too, which a lot of us understand that. Right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when you move into channeled messages, it's like listening to a song at different times and you get different understandings and interpretations of that song. It's the same thing with the channeling. There's more behind it and there's more behind it. And so you go back and listen to it again a year later perhaps and go, oh wow, I didn't even
Yeah.
perceive it that way. So that's what's beautiful, is to see like, oh, it's amazing.
Totally. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I love just, it's almost as if we can say, I just love what you've just said and how you described it, Jennifer, because it's like the great unraveling or the great unfoldment, isn't it? We're peeling back the layers. And what I find, well, I'm going to say amusing in one way. I often find lots of things amusing anyway, but as we go within and we're peeling the layers back within ourselves, and especially like if we're doing the letting go process. So it's like, okay, in order to do the letting go, I've got to go in, peel some layers off, hurt and pain, delusions, etc. But simultaneously, what's taking place is it's as if we're peeling layers off in the universe around us, because that then opens up. So there's no, and it tells us there's no separation. So it's like, okay, and this is where for me it starts to get interesting, because we can say if we're kind of unfolding or peeling the layers away within ourselves, within our own mind and awareness, our awareness is obviously then expanding even further because it's got a greater sense of clarity. From that clarity, we can attune to those higher, finer, pure frequencies and vibrations of, let's say, multi-dimensions where those other beings exist or abide. So it's like a win-win situation. And at the center point is the light. So as we become this fantastic conduit or channel, we can just go, okay, really, nothing really matters. What matters is the now and being. And in that, if we can be empty vessels, because emptiness is big for me. We get into trouble. We get into all sorts of troubles because we put blocks and we fill ourselves up with distractions, etc. So the key for me is to be empty. And when we're talking about a channel, it's like, okay, there's a channel. The question then is, okay, is this a clear channel? In this case, I'll use myself as a reference, as a guinea pig. So is Colin's channel clear, or has it got some blocks in it? Because if it's got some blocks in it, the message what wants to come through, or the transmissions what wants to come through, can be disjointed. And therefore, what's coming out of his mouth is going to be contaminated with parts of Colin's mind and Colin's awareness. I love what you've said regarding when we do receive transmissions, and you jog something, Jennifer. It was quite beautiful. It took me to when I listened to channeled information with anybody, when I hear it, and there's a kind of set that it's almost like it's got its own, it's coming off one frequency, or sorry, spectrum of frequencies. So when somebody's speaking in a channeled voice, we'll put it that way, the resonance of the words has got a purity to it. There's like, they always talk about love, they talk about light, they talk about change and transition and upliftment and all these beautiful positive words. And they all connect to what I believe is a certain spectrum where those beautiful frequencies are coming through. And exactly what you've said, the meaning behind the words, in some respects, is still yet to be discovered because it's that deep. Finally, just to kind of throw this in, I'm aware that celestial beings or cosmic beings, whatever we refer to them, then there was multidimensional beings. And because of the clear light of awareness, of their clear light of awareness, they have to kind of alter their frequency and funnel the information down. And as it gets altered or funneled, it's almost like it's been diluted. So therefore, to our mind, it can not, we're not grabbing its essence, we're not grabbing its purity, because we're not clear enough to receive that purity. We'll receive it in a certain language, in language and text what we can understand as a human mind or ordinary mind. But one thing I think where we're going with the channeling is, and this is where I really find it very exciting, is the more we let go within ourselves, the closer we're going to be able to get to that purity of what those multidimensional beings are actually speaking or resonating at, and that there won't be any interference in between, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. So, yeah, we want so much to like embrace each other when we're in the process of developing our trance and our channeling too. And it can be in the beginning that, you know, some of you comes in, and that's not wrong if some of you comes in, because we're spirit too. And the higher self of us could have something very wise to share as well. Um, on the other side of that, though, is that if a message is showing up with some elements of separation or maybe even fear-based thinking, it's like you still want to not throw out the baby with the bathwater with that too. You know what I mean? Is like keep the good parts, but if you see that, then that is kind of um, I might look a little bit deeper to see what else is going on there too. So how do we avoid a distorted message and have a nice clear channel that's allowing the spirit world to do its job? And um it's always so hard because people who are learning how to channel, they're so afraid of that happening. I don't want it to be me. It just has to be the spirit, that they won't say anything and they hold themselves back. So we have to give a little element of like, you have to say something, get a flow. And even if it is you in the beginning, so that they can like ride that wave, you know? But once we are doing it in a more professional manner, in a more global manner, to that, then there's a couple of things that I think we want to be mindful of, is that we spend the time and development to learn how to really pull our own awareness back to allow that awareness in. So that takes some practice. So like when you were speaking, I had some, freeway noise coming into like a fire engine or something like that too. And it's like, I would use that as a signal, just go deeper. If I were trying to practice my trance, just go deeper when I hear a noise, so that I can learn to avoid the distractions and just get far as back. I imagine myself really pulling back and allowing them in. And it gets much easier over time. The other thing I would suggest is that we really do the self-development, to where we're growing ourselves and really knowing who we are as a multi-dimensional being, basically healing our stuff too, and healing our own things that we're working through. Everyone in the world, and including the spiritual community, is in a healing process. And so all the wounded healer archetypes are going to make it into this community, right? But we got to work on healing our own stuff too. And the more we do that, the more power we have, spiritual power, to allow a really nice, strong, clear channel to come in. And so my litmus is I don't really care who's coming through in a channel, whether it be me or somebody else. I just care about, is this message healing? Is it uplifting? Is
Yeah.
it empowering? Does it sound intelligent? And if it passes those things, like, then I'm
Yeah.
gonna take a really good notice to that one too. That helps me. So
Beautiful. Yeah, it's it's the benefit. It's if the message is beneficial for me, and if the message is of that nature, then it should be encouraged, because it's healing the planet, it's healing the world, it's healing somebody somewhere, and ultimately it's healing all of us. So I'm kind of big on that. I like what you mentioned about speaking, because a lot of people, I agree with you, I've seen and witnessed it. For one reason or another, a lot of people won't just speak those first words. And they can be the most beautiful space. I'm sitting there and I'm sensing, thinking, I'm watching spirit around them, I'm watching different beings around them. And they are very present and they're there. But that little mind in that physical space inside is going, I'm not, I want it perfect. I don't want me in the way. And I would say to anybody what's listening or anybody what watches, a tap, no water can come out of a tap until the first drop starts. And that's exactly the same with channeling. That first drop represents the first word. And that is so important. And I also believe what's relevant and important is that a safe space is created for people to do that, where they feel safe, they feel comfortable. They're not going to be ridiculed or intimidated. They're going to feel cared for and encouraged to be who they are. And I often say in one of the groups is, first off, it might just sound like gibberish. You might, in your mind, be thinking, if I say this, it sounds like gibberish to me in my mind. Good, let it sound like gibberish, because we all speak gibberish at some point. So, it's like, but it won't sound gibberish. It's like, speak it, because the tap then is getting turned on. And then as like you said, with practice, we just open the valve a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, until eventually what's flowing out is what we would perceive as pure water, is pure transmissions from these celestial angelic beings, what love us and care for us and want to share so much with us, especially at this time where the world needs it, or we think the world needs it as much as what it does. So that's quite a big one. You touched a big one for me there, Jennifer. That very first step. And it doesn't matter what you do. People still do. It's so funny, because it's like they'll still sit there for 6 weeks and go, and it's like, and it's beautiful, because it just comes when it's ready for the person, doesn't it?
yeah, and I mean, you could just say one word and you've gotten something out. It could just be
Yeah,
hello. If you just get a hello out,
yeah,
like, that's something,
yeah,
and it's like, you got to start somewhere. And
yeah,
maybe you're hearing, the phrase peace, and coming in your awareness, and just say peace. Just let something out, because then they can eventually start riding the wave,
yes,
and come in
yeah,
there too. And it gets easier and easier with time too. And another thing is to pay attention to is the power. The more you grow in your power, sit in the power, but also we want to feel the power in the space
yeah,
too. So if I'm working with students and I, for instance, were to demonstrate for them what healing, trance healing looks like, or trance speaking, like, did you guys feel the power? Did you see any, overshadowing of my face? Did you notice in the mannerisms in which they were moving my hands were
yeah,
not, the way a normal human would do it, kind of thing. And so, because spirit can come in very gracefully in that way too. And so those are the things to pay attention to as well. And it's okay to take your time with it. It's okay. It doesn't have to happen overnight. But you're right. They expect it to. I think a lot of students who want to do trance expect that they're just going to be knocked out cold. They won't be able to hear or remember anything. That generally doesn't isn't how it works. Most people don't get to that very deep state like that too,
Yeah.
and it could take a while to even as an experienced trance medium could take a while to get to that place where you're that deep that you don't remember anything. I still remember things, and even when I'm in trance, there may still be a little bit of background up here, and I express it like as if you were underwater and you could hear people above the swimming pool playing or talking. That's kind of like where the thought consciousness is out here, kind of thing. And so you're aware that it's there, but it's not just so upfront and present in your normal mind there too. So hopefully that's helpful as well too. And so yeah, it's a balance of some people trying too hard, and then some people maybe doing it and not focusing on the self-development that's also needed to be that like clear channel too. So it's kind of like we need to do both. It's like don't try too hard, but make sure you keep working on it. Make sure you keep working on you. Make sure you
Exactly. Yeah, it's that kind of sense of equilibrium, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's knowing what to do in the moment. And I mean, trying to encourage everybody, I would say you're in the moment, in whatever space or environment you're in, whether it's channeling or trance, go for it. Go for it right there and then, just go for it. Because it's like, we can liken it to spirit coming from a different plane, and these celestial beings coming from multidimensional planes, very close to us, and opening that door for us, going, the door is now open. And I would say to everybody, go through that door. Try not to have any preconceived thoughts or ideas. Hand over as much trust as you possibly can. Let go of all control of what you normally think you have. And just have that totally innocent mind where in that moment, spirit are keeping you 100% safe. And whether it's trance or channeling, speak those very first words, because it's like turning the pedals on the bicycle for the very first time. And it's as simple as that. And then the momentum will build up and spirit will come in closer and closer. One thing which I've always been kind of conscious of is this aspect of moving the mind out of the way, moving our conscious awareness to one side. And even if it's just to one side a little bit, and we're feeling inspired to speak something, then speak it. And then when it gets moved a bit further, it will continue to, the flow of information will continue. And at some point, a certain point, there will come a point where the mind is completely out of the way. The individual who is in that altered state is completely gone, and they won't hear anything. And that might just be for a moment. It might happen every time. Or it might be exactly what you've described, Jennifer, as if it's happening in water and you're at a distance and you're observing and sense it, but you're not interfering with it. I would say to everybody, don't dive in by all means. I was like, because I'm terrible for this, it's like, just dive in, jump in with, both feet and just trust spirit, like you won't drown. And just get rid of all preconceived thoughts about it and be you, because everybody's different, everybody's unique. And spirit, no, maybe this is another thing worth touching on. With channeling and trance, the same as mediumship, same as healing, same as anything. In this spiritual space when we're working, spirit know who and what we are. They know the way we tick, the way we think, the way we feel, 1,000 times better than what we do. If we think we're sensitive beings, they're leaving us standing. They are fully aware. And when they come close, they've already calculated 50 or 100 moves, what you might have not even considered, but they know you will do over a period of time. And they're already counteracting them in order to get your mind to where it's meant to be. And that for me is a brilliant concept when I know, being aware that spirit do that. If we see so many objects in a room, 5, 10, 50, whatever it is, we know we can multiply that by 50 to 100 minimum, and that's what spirits see. They can see so much more because they've got that sense of clarity. We're kind of in this diving suit with the thumbs on our feet. We've chosen to jump in and dive to the depths of this abyss and to put light in it. So, but they're saying, take us with you guys. And in that process, we're opening up. So I absolutely love this subject, Jennifer.
Me too, Colin. I love it. I love everything you said there. And a couple points that you brought up is the, handing it over to spirit and trusting them too. It can feel scary sometimes to have spirit come so close, and you're not used to the energy and the power feeling that strong too. And so there is a trust that is built. And so just to remember that you're safe and that they're holding you in that process too, can be very helpful. And also that, channeling is not for a chosen few. We're in our channel anytime we're being creative or anytime we're in deep thought, and we can just be speaking to somebody and we're channeling at, if anything, ourselves. But you're channeling when you're doing art, when you're doing music, when you're writing. It's like we're channeling our realities right now. we So it's like, just start, just try, just do it. And if you have some people that are safe, that feel very safe for you to be a receiver or a listener, so that way you can let your guard down. So because sometimes even in a circle, if you feel like people are judging you or you feel uncomfortable, you're not going to let your guard down because you're worried about what they're going to think or that kind of. So it's important if you have people that you maybe know really well and really have built some trust in, or an instructor like yourself who's so kind and gentle, right, that will make it a safe space to just start, just try, just go. Just do it too.
Sure.
And then the third point is that the power can feel different with trance. It can feel like this sort of heavy weighted blanket because they're trying, like you said, to subdue you. And so it's not quite as the active expansion as we do with mediumship, which is very mental and very active, and we're doing more of this kind of thing. But we could just sit here and then let the spirit bring the trance to you, which is even more passive. A state of working is just love that passivity. So all we have to do is just keep relaxing, and then they'll bring the trance to you and get used to that kind of heavy weighted feeling. And that could be scary to people because they're like, oh, this feels heavy. Is it bad? No, it's trance. It's just deep, strong power. That is the power. And they're using that to subdue you and make you sleepy. And so that you'll go into that space. A lot of times with the mediumship demonstrations I watch on the different spiritualist churches that are on Zoom and stuff, because there's a lot of mediums, I can feel the trance energy, and I'm like, oh, I'm trying not to fall asleep while I'm watching it, because I start going out too. And I know other people that's happened to too. There was a man, I can't remember what his name is, but is back in the 1900s, and his wife and him went to circle together. They went to a regular weekly circle, like you kind of would do with a seance, and the husband was just going along for the ride, and his wife was practicing her trance speaking. This would be in the UK, I believe, mediumship community. And he fell asleep every time for 2 years during this circle, but they went, right? And then out of the blue, he just started channeling. He just started going into trance and trance speaking. And they were developing him the whole time, even though he was asleep, but he was in the power with the people. So so that's what people worry about too. They're worried about falling asleep. And it's like, there is that little sweet spot, but it's still going to work. You're still developing.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's what we're saying here is, just allow it to be what it is. Once we're sitting, and once of course, it's beneficial if we can sense a being of light, whether it's a discarnate soul from the spirit world or a celestial being or cosmic being, star being, whatever we refer to. I love the word star being, actually. I was in I don't know which circle it was. It was in a circle. It was in the last 2 months, I think, 3 months maybe. And I was kind of thinking, okay, we've heard of the Arcturians and, Pleiadians, etc., the star seeds. And for some reason, I asked and it was quite a kind of powerful circle. When I say powerful, please don't take that the wrong way, guys. You know, the energy had built up quite sufficiently, and I'd ask this being, what should I refer to them as? And now normally I don't ask any questions whatsoever of that nature. I never have done. I've never really felt it necessary, to be honest. But that's just the way I've always worked with spirit. But this being said to me, star beings. And I'm kind of like, that sits comfortable. It's like they must have known the frequency of it was going to rest in a nice way inside me. If they'd said some other, you know, fancy name, I might have just rejected it and gone, no, I'm not comfortable with it. But when they said star beings, it was like, this kind of fits in such a beautiful, pure space. But having said that, because it's taken us somewhere, I also believe, similar to what on the back of what you've said, Jennifer, nobody's got the monopoly on channeling. Nobody. Just the same as mediumship. Nobody's got the monopoly on mediumship. Nobody's got the monopoly on anything. You know, somebody said to me the other day, it was talking about grief, and one person's grief compared to another is like, we can't. Nobody's got the monopoly on grief. You know, sorry, we haven't. Grief is exclusive to us in our own way. What I do find fascinating with channeling is our past lives have obviously played a role, that we somehow, all of us, I believe, on the planet at the moment, again, it's not exclusive, it matters to all of us, and especially the ones in the spiritual space, because they seem to be the first, you know, they're the up there at the moment, what way is present, that our past life and our previous incarnations, several or many, you know, or countless, have always possibly involved something of a spiritual nature. And our most recent past lives, it's likely that many, if not all, souls on the planet was close to the spirit world in whatever they was thinking and acting in them lifetimes, in the most recent ones. And we've obviously clearly brought that mind, or those aspects of that mind, into this space, and therefore it's making it so much easier for us to tap into the different areas of mediumship, healing, trance, and channeling. Just on a quick note, as far as the word channeling is concerned, we can safely say that's exactly who and what we are. So we're channeling. Even in our sleep, we're doing it. But when we get up, we're a vessel, we're a channel, we're a conduit for our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, everything about us. We are these vessels and channels of energies and frequencies and vibrations. And if we use that as a foundation to work from, then we can say, okay, the I kicks in always, doesn't it? I would like to just take this to its next stage. I'm going to move my mind. Therefore, I'm going to go into a group or course, and I'm going to move my mind to its next frequency, where I can be more focused on this channeling aspect. Because I totally agree with what you said as well, Jennifer, where this mediumship, we have this kind of concept where we expand our mind and our awareness, and we invite all these beautiful discarnate spirits, you know, spirits in from the spirit world, family, friends, loved ones, etc. Whereas channeling in trance is a little bit more, we're focusing our concentration more. We're kind of thinking, okay, I've got a single point of awareness. I'm going to focus on that. And now I'm going to focus on moving it out of the way. Relaxing, peacefully, calm, and just gently take that single pointed awareness to one side as these are coming in. And I think that's a big difference between mediumship, expansive, and bringing our awareness into that single point of focus concentration. And we go, right, this is my practice now. And from that, we can say, okay, this week, I managed to get to a certain point. And it gives us like a benchmark, it's a reflection. It says, okay, Next week, I'm now going to move it to the next point, next frequency. Because the one thing what I do find is if we imagine that, and I'm going to refer to the higher self here as a means of a route or ladder to channeling and trance. When we make reference to the higher self, we can safely say the higher self is made up of many frequencies of our own awareness, or let's say many different frequencies and vibrations of our conscious awareness. So we go, okay, I'm going to move from this point A to point B. And we take our mind to the second or third, let's say, realm or frequency of our higher self. And we're still kind of connected. And we're open to channeling, they're coming through, they start speaking, and we're aware. So then the following week, we'll go, okay, I'm going to move even further. And from the next frequency of our higher self, we're actually tuning to an even purer frequency where they go, wonderful, we can get to that even easier than what we did last week. And so on and so on. So eventually what happens is it's a trick. The trickers all, don't they? They're just the tricksters. Spirit and multidimensional beings, guys, are tricksters. You got to watch out for them. Okay? And the most, because they get us to go in this sequence, laughing their heads off while they're creeping in. So eventually we're out and all of a sudden, boom, these most beautiful transmissions come through and you go, oh, how's that just happened?
Oh, that was amazing. I believe you were just channeling there. That was so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, beautifully said. And one of the key points that I got from that is kind of like the who's coming in, and I know that's a big curiosity for people, for the person who's doing the channeling and for the person who's listening, wanting to know who it is. And so a couple of things can happen from that. Like I'm like you, like I don't really pay attention. I don't worry about it as long as I can feel the power, it's healing, it's uplifting, and it feels intelligent, right? As long as I pass out, I'm not worried about, because I started off with guides, and then they kind of moved away. And then I just felt like I was just with spirit, and I was just like, and the guides are very angelic in nature. And then it was with spirit and it was with love. Like I'm channeling love. I'm not worried about a personality or an appearance and things like that too. And then recently I have had some like star being experiences too. And I was like, oh, well, that's new. Well, let's let that unfold, And so I'm just, we'll see where that goes too. But it was still healing, uplifting, and intelligent. So I was like, okay, good. We're good with that too. And, but another thing that I've seen too is that a lot of people, like you said, will tune into familiarity. And so, for instance, a lot of people say, like, I feel like I'm channeling Mother Mary, or I feel like I'm channeling Kuan Yin or Jesus. And then it's like, who am I to channel someone like that? And then the worry about judgment coming from the other side. Will they believe me? And will they do the who are you to think you could channel that, right? And that unfortunately can happen. It can happen, right? And I would just say, why wouldn't the spirits of these very ascended beings want to speak through multiple people here, right? And why did we make ourselves so small to think that we can't connect with them too? And so it's like, and I'm getting chills as I say that. So why wouldn't the essence of Mother Mary want to channel through hundreds, thousands of channelers here to give a message of love, a message of pure love and acceptance to people too? And so it's something to think about too. And then, like you said, the trickster nature is they are shapeshifters too. So if a spirit guide could come in as a child so as not to scare a child who's a medium, you understand that they may show up as someone that your awareness can accept, like a Native American, but maybe that's not who they really are. So it's like, it doesn't really matter who they really are, as long as it's healing, uplifting, you can feel the power, and it's intelligent too.
I love it.
Lynn had a question too. I saw it. I didn't mean to interrupt, Colin. Lynn had a question about being in Circle online versus in person. So I thought I would bring that to your attention there.
Yeah. Do you want to answer? Yeah, go for it, Jennifer. I want to write two things down while you're answering this, because I'd like to come back to two things. You mentioned two things. Please do, yeah.
I have found them to be equally as effective, Lynn. sometimes being online can be more effective in the sense that because you're just in the comfort of your own home, in your own space, you can relax a little bit more versus being in person, having to drive over there. You're just, so they both have benefits to them. So I'm curious what Colin thinks, but there's no time and space. So Zoom, doing, a Zoom trance practice circle too should be just as effective, because we still feel the power. If I were online with you, on Zoom, Lynn, I would still be able to feel the power that's happening with you, and I would feel it in my space too. So that's what I would recommend. I do try, if I were to demonstrate, I would try to like have no virtual background on and have as plain a background behind me as I could, so that it's not kind of interfering with what's happening in my body. Because sometimes, like with Zoom, the virtual backgrounds make you look kind of distorted. So that's what I would try to be careful with the lighting in the background, so it's a nice, clear, no interference there. But it should work just as fine, maybe even better, because you're more comfortable in your own space. What do you think, Colin?
Yeah, definitely, I would agree, Jennifer. And thank you, Lynn, for your question. And it's a good question. It's very valuable, isn't it? Because my initial intuitive take on it would be, it depends on what effort you wish to apply, whether it's online or in person, because ultimately our development is about the effort we put into it. Training the mind, meditation if it's necessary, etc. Understanding. I find one of the biggest helps is self-analysis. I've used self-analysis ever since I kind of came into this space, or had the awakening. That self-reflection with spirit is our best way of developing. Put that to sitting in a group or a circle online, then the benefits are immense. Go into in person. If it's in person, there's for me, they've both got pros and cons. If it's in person, then you're kind of directly mixing with other physical beings and energies and vibrations, and spirit can really start molding them, like seriously mold them. Interesting enough, and we have a trance course, and initially I wasn't questioning whether trance could be done online, but I was analysing it and the safety aspects, because for me, I've never really classed myself as a teacher. If I play any role in any circle or group or course, I always feel more of that my role is more of a protector. And I don't mean egotistically. My role is there to protect the sitters while they're developing, to make sure they're safe physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That's where I kind of come from. And that's why it's important to create that loving, kind space for people to be in. So I would say, Lynn, go use them both. Just, there's no kind of one specific way. One moment you might feel like it's beneficial online for you, and another, if you can get in a physical in person, you'll probably likely sense the difference. But they've both got pros and cons, to be honest, for me. Brilliant question. So I would just like to ask if anybody else got any more questions, fire away, guys. I know
there's a few. There's a few.
Brilliant.
I believe Ava starred them. Yeah.
Right then, brilliant. Let's have a look at someone, shall we? Bernadette, the Unleashing Potentials podcast. Hi, Bernadette. I like the sound of that. The Unleashing Potentials podcast. See, even the titles globally everywhere are brilliant. I'm definitely curious to know how gifted people can remain open-minded and loving towards people that are skeptic or don't believe in the spiritual world at all. Jennifer, how do you deal with skeptics?
Yeah, it's interesting, as a medium, I do know that when I work publicly, I know that there is skepticism there, and that's why I try to to shift the space to remind. So whether I'm going to be demonstrating publicly or I have other people demonstrating publicly, like for my service, for example, I try to remind people that we are human and we're vulnerable to be putting ourselves out there in that way, and we're kind of at the mercy of the spirit to do their thing, and we're not in control of it. It's like public speaking, but you have no notes to prepare. You're just on like that too. So I try to ask the audience to send love to the medium and to send love to anyone who's receiving a message too, because there is a line between skepticism and criticism too. And that energy, some of us who are very sensitive can feel it, and it can hurt our feelings. It really can, to know that that energy is there. There's nothing we can't change that person, but the more we develop ourselves, like with the self-analysis that we were saying, Colin, the more we develop ourselves, because it will reflect on our ability to remain loving for that person and whatever is inside them that's making them skeptical or not believing in, I've got people in my life who do not believe in mediumship, but they're very close to me, but still accept me as I am. And vice versa. And it's like, that's okay. So we accept each other in diversity. And that's a beautiful thing that we can do that. That's unconditional love when we can do that. It's like, I don't have to agree with everything, but I accept you as you are for, we're all in our journeys. And like you said, we're all channeling different realities and looking through different lenses too. So even in a seance or a physical mediumship circle, you get phenomenon, and there's a potential that some of the people are going to see that phenomenon and some aren't. And that doesn't mean the phenomenon didn't happen. It means that some people's perception received that information and some people did it. And I feel like spirit does that on purpose to remind us that we're channeling our perception too. And trance comes in perception too. So what feels like another body coming into yours isn't really, it's a merging of the power coming into your perception, but they want you to get that sense of like, is this a man, or is this a woman, or is this an older person? So we have to get it through our perception so that we can, feel that beautiful blending and merging. And what a beautiful thing it is to have the blending and the merging of spirit. I know I off track. I went a little off track there too. But
Okay, go off track.
too. But yeah, but she's giving an interesting question. So how do we remain open-minded with people who don't believe? So if we go into judgment on them or put them as lower than us because they don't believe the same as us, or we think that they're not as awake as us, how does that make us more spiritually mature? It would then, to me, reflect an element of something that I could still continue working on within myself. If I'm feeling judgmental of a person who's less awake than me, then that's in me. That's in me to keep working through my own perceptions and grow myself more to become more accepting of them too. That would be my opinion on that one.
Love it. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was absolutely beautiful. I love it. And I would just put this in, if I may, Bernadette. We are love. So how can we not be that towards those, what we believe are skeptics? And Jennifer used what I think is the best word. And just to emphasize or go further with it, is acceptance. The more we accept who we are, what we are, and what's going on with us as celestial channels, the more we accept everybody else. We have a greater sense of acceptance. Our lack of acceptance is others is a direct reflection of the lack of ourselves in some area within, exactly what Jennifer's just described. Skeptics on the other hand, and I've got a terrible sense of humor, so sometimes I've kind of enjoyed some skeptics when I've been approached. I can name one instance where because a lot of mediums face this, to be honest, where you can be doing a demonstration and you may have a soul sitting in the audience or congregation and they've got this, they're oozing this energy, what's like arms crossed. Prove it to me then, prove it to me. And I can honestly say to you, Bernadette, we're not here to prove. No, none of us, nobody is here to prove spirit to anybody else. It's not our job. We may say we're undergoing a process where there's an ability there to be able to convey the truth that the spirit world exists. That's different from offering proof to somebody who may be a skeptic. With skeptics, we can safely say it's like trying to reason with a drunken mind. It's not going to happen. And it's almost like we can expand a bit with awakening, people trying to get other people to wake up. We can't do that. It's incorrect. We have to leave every soul to awaken in the moment karmically, which is correct for that other soul, the same way as it happened to us and ourselves. So, in effect, we're not even dealing with a skeptic. When the mind is refusing or failing in their kind of endeavor to believe in the spirit world or believe in the light of spirit, etc., we just gracefully move past it. And if that, I've always had a rule, if I can't enforce my teachings or my philosophy or understanding on anybody else, that is so wrong. In any religion, in any belief system, it is so wrong to push your beliefs on somebody else on so many levels for so many reasons. But if somebody asks us a question, then they've opened the door from their side, and we then have the right to speak the truth, what we understand and believe in. And that's two different things. So you see, I've gone off as well, Jennifer. So I'm going to come back. So we're both just done it. Anyway, beautiful question. Do you want to feel free to, guys, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. This is amazing. I don't know about you. I am absolutely loving this. Any more questions? Just fire away with questions because we haven't got much longer left.
I saw one by Ava's so beautiful. Thank you, Ava, for taking good care of us. And she's got them starred for us to make it easier. Shonda says, how can she improve giving space to the spirits so that they can speak to you want me to take that one? Okay. I would
Yes, please.
one thing that you can that I like to give as an example that has helped people before is just imagine it like two colors, like you're a color and the spirit is a color, and you're just coming in and blending and being one color for just a little bit. And then after a while you'll be two colors again. And that seems to be something that people can accept in their minds more too. And also to understand that they're not inhabiting your body, it's just coming in through your perceptive awareness. And then if you feel the power getting really intense, you just keep relaxing into it. You just keep taking a breath, taking a breath, taking a breath. If you hear a sound, oh, go deeper, go deeper. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make space. I'm gonna share space. So this space, I'm going to bring a little of me back and let a little of them in, and we're just sharing the space. And they're coming in with this pure high vibrational, high frequency love that they come in from where they are too. And think of it this way, like, ooh, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that to come into your being and share that space with them? Because it can be very that can give you a gift in developing your own spiritual gifts and enhancing them just by being in that power and having that blending taking place too. So maybe that will help too. But again, get some words out, even if it's you. Perfectly okay. Let it be you in the beginning, and then they'll come in. You started to make a little wave in the ocean, and they come in like a surfboard, and then they take over, and you're like, ah. And also, they will bring the trance to you, so they will make you more and more subdued. There's also some music. Weightless by Marconi Union is a great great set of music pieces to go into the trance state. And there's also the MRM Brain Team, I think it is. So those couple of tracks too are very good for helping with the trance. That would be my suggestion. How about you, Colin?
Well, I think you've just summed it up. I know Chanda. Hi, Chanda. Thank you. Beautiful question. How can I improve? Stop trying. Because we put ourselves under so much. We've got to change the vocabulary. Thankfully, it's changing. How can I improve? And it's literally just don't try. Just be. Just allow it to be. Just allow your mind to enter into that beautiful, soft, gentle vibration in that space, in that emptiness within yourself, and keep doing that, and spirit will do the rest. Exactly what Jennifer said. That is it. Just, we have a tendency to try too hard, and we have to do this, and we have to go down this route, and we have to try, do this and do that. It's like, bin it, but forget it all, guys. Forget the lot. That's what Spirit's saying to us. It's like, empty your vessel and let us step in. We'll take over. So then it's like, that obviously raises loads more questions. You go, well, how do I empty my vessel, etc. So you always get this kind of domino effect of whatever we use. When we're using human language and terms, there's this kind of constant unfoldment. I would just like to, and I'm going to come back to that one on the Path Channel, if I may. Yeah, I'll come back to it, because somebody made a comment earlier, and it was, and I'm going to scan through it. She channels a mum through a flame, and it caught my attention, and I thought, wow, that feels really. There's something. Oh, there it is. I think Sarah. Is it Sarah Reddings or Sarah Reading Steiger? Hi, Sarah. I hope you're still with us. I love what you've just said. I channel my mum through candle flame.
Yep, that's beautiful. I've heard of people using candles to go into that meditative state by just they follow the candle flame and they just move in with that too. And I think that would be very effective. So it's pretty cool. I love it.
I've done this previously on several occasions, and it really works. And exactly as you've just described it, Jennifer, it's like the mind goes automatically. It's almost like it's magnetic. The flame becomes magnetic and the mind gets drawn in. But the mind, we're also allowing the mind to do it. So we kind of just gently drift into that altered state. And that's another way. And I'm so pleased you've said this, Sarah, because I would say to everybody, use whatever means is most comfortable for you guys. It doesn't matter what a circle leader may tell you. Circle leaders are there just as like, we're like lollipop ladies. We're just standing there holding a sign, really, and it's up to you whether you follow it or not. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you don't have to. You can ignore the lollipop lady. If you're feeling comfortable in the way it's going for you, then use it. And because that's what we've all done anyway. Brilliant, Sarah. Just want to Ria's, if that's okay, and then we'll fly through whatever is here, and then I think we might have to be finishing. So on the path of channeling, I feel it's important to go through the letting go process on a regular basis. Wow. Ria. So over to you, Jennifer. Would you like to take this one? I've got mine in my back pocket. So.
That's your class that you do, right? You do the letting go class. Yeah. And it makes sense because the more we just let go of whatever's happening, in the moment in our own awareness, just put it to the side for now. You can always pick it back up later, whatever's there that you need to deal with. You can always pick it back later. We have to kind of become good compartmentalizers too. And when I sit in the power with people, I'm like, just imagine all the thoughts and to-dos and concerns is kind of falling down to the floor, and I think of it like raindrops, and you're going to make a pretty little garden and you can go pick whatever flowers are still needed later, and it's like just like letting all that go, or feathers or bubbles, something real pretty like that. And it's like giving respect to your mind and giving love to your mind that's trying so hard to work for you and do things for you and make sure that you get your stuff done and is really trying to process all that. And it's like, then we can just allow that just for now. And that way your mind knows that more, the vulnerable part of you knows, oh, okay, it's just for a few minutes. We're just working differently for a few minutes. And then we can go back and whatever needs to get done will get done, right? And it's like, that creates like some spaciousness and some grace in the process to allow the spirit to come in too, also too. And it's all a process. We learn to become one with our breath, and we learn to feel the Holy Spirit around us, and um, we learn to see ourselves as light, and we learn that love is in everything and everyone, and through all of these little pieces, we just understand that there's nothing to be afraid of. The more we understand ourselves as love and remember who we truly are, which is that highest frequency of love, then you realize you're untouchable in the sense of anything harming you. It's all beauty and love, and that transcends duality. So yeah, thank you for your question, for your
I
comment.
really didn't want to, I wasn't stopping you, Jennifer. I was like, okay, let her she's going. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, Ria. Letting go is, empty the room. Empty. It's like the mind is, well, no, let's get to the truth. There is no mind. The mind doesn't really exist. We just invented somewhere to put things in, and we call it the mind. It's more awareness, if anything, and we filled ourselves up. So we this is Ria for me is spot on. It's like really if we wish to, and it's not essential, but it's obviously here. I really believe this year is going to be a year of letting go for humanity. It's been coming in very strongly, and I think from that is we will witness a lot more channels coming into the space. I think for anybody who's listening, what are running circles and courses and groups and spaces, please encourage those minds who are channeling to channel that which wishes to come through. We're talking, as Jennifer said earlier, the convergence. There is a convergence of spiritual beings and on the spirit planes, and a convergence with celestial cosmic beings. They're working together, and they really want to get the message through, get the information through, and that encouragement and that light to uplift us. So for any circle leaders, etc., please embrace these channels, what have been brought into your space. They've obviously been guided into them by those beautiful beings. Just quickly, if I may, Jennifer, a couple of bits, what you mentioned, which I do really want to mention, but I know it's going to be fast. So the Mother Mary aspect, and so many people, it's funny in it because it's almost like a virus. When somebody mentions one thing, it kind of ricochets throughout the space, and we know many people are connecting with this energy, what's referred to as Mother Mary and other celestial beings. And the question can be, how can so many people be channeling the one and same soul? And many years ago, I kind of, it intrigued me and I wanted to figure it out. And what was reflected, or what I discovered through a lot of analysis, a lot of contemplation, was we can put it this way, even though we're aware that there's on the planet many lakes and rivers and oceans and pools and ponds, and there's only one moon, when the moon shines, it will reflect on all those lakes and rivers and ponds. And therefore, we can say if there's only one Mother Mary or any other of the title, what it's doing is the same concept. It's reflecting that one from that one source. It's reflecting on, and therefore that's why so many people are using those terms in their channeling. That's my belief, and I think it's about as close as we can get to the truth of understanding. We know we're multidimensional beings, but so we just say, if somebody says I'm channeling Mother Mary, then just please, encourage it and have that acceptance that it's a reflection from that one source. And even though there's many others around the world channeling that same aspect. That's what's happening as far as I'm concerned. And the last thing is, you spoke something wonderful, Jennifer, and that was our spirit shapeshifters. They kind of change their form in order to make us feel comfortable when we're developing. And using the aspect of the Native American Indian, what I find fascinating, again, is we can liken it to, they may show themselves as a Native American Indian, Tibetan Buddhist monk, Oriental guide, Mongolian, Egyptian, whichever one it is, celestial beings, cosmic beings from this dimension or that realm or that dimension. What we're actually looking at is an aspect of a singularity, which has had an infinite number of incarnations and lifetimes. And when they come to us, and this is their intelligence, which Jennifer was referring to, this is their intelligence. They know which incarnation to reflect to us in that moment. But it doesn't mean say that is one singular incarnation. We're seeing a facet of a multidimensional being with infinite number of incarnations. So we're looking at aspects of consciousness of that soul, to be honest. So there's so much more in there. We're getting our teeth into it.
In other words, we're all God. Wait, I was just saying, in other words, we're all God in a costume. So,
it's true. Yeah.
All the aspects of the divine, and we are too. We're in these human costumes, and then we have all these beautiful beings of spirit, and we're all aspects of the divine, continually expanding in infinite ways. So, yeah, beautiful. That was music to my ears, Colin. I was like, oh yes. So thank you.
Jennifer, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody. Patrick, Vivian, Paywinder, let's have a look, etc. Elaine Stein, thank you. We've got Elaine Stainton coming up.
I know.
Elaine's going to be doing as a demonstration next week. So please, I think it's next week. Check it out.
She's an amazing medium, Elaine. Oh, you do not want to miss her. She is a wonderful medium. Everybody, please. Well, I've seen her demonstrate. She's wonderful. Yeah.
It's so true. So true. So we're fortunate she's going to be joining us. I think it's next Saturday. No. Yes, next Saturday evening. Thank you, Alison, Nancy, everybody. I'm sorry I can't get through all the names, but thank you so much. We really, Neva, thank you to Ava for working behind the scenes. Thank you so much. We're going to give a big shout out to Kelly Brickell on Sacred Spiral Network. Please subscribe, check her out, and please support. The guys support everybody. Put likes on the pages and post and all this stuff, Let's get this.
It helps. It helps grow.
Yeah. And
feedback.
Oh, sorry. And just finally, I'm going to just quickly punt something. We've got an A to Z Index Spiritualism, Guide to Psychic Spiritual Development. It's quite in depth. It's very deep. If you want this, it's online. Menoka Consciousness Group. If anybody's interested and you like a little bit of fun, I put a question on our site today. What is spirit? If you go on Menoka Consciousness Group, chuck your comment. Let's see what you come out with. I threw it out there. But finally, over to you, Jennifer. Please tell us when the next things are coming up for you, what you've got on now, people can contact you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. There's the feedback again. Thank you, Ava. Thank you, Kelly. And thank you so much, Colin, and everybody else who's joined today. I've been seeing all your beautiful comments and love and support. So I just really appreciate it. Tomorrow, I have a free online event. You can go sign up through my website called Spirit Talk. It's a spiritual Q&A. So we always have a lot of fun. People come in with all kinds of questions. I'll have my next Sunday service on a week from tomorrow with Melinda Olang as our guest medium. And I'll be on Embracing Infinity next week as well. And so I've got it. I keep very busy, but thank you. Thank you. Oh, I did want to say too, a week from Monday, Kelly Brickell is hosting a charity event for the California fires, because they even though the fire is out, they continue to need support and relief. So that's going to be, you can find it on a lot of different pages, but you can go onto Kelly Brickell's Psychic Medium and Numerologist page too. And there's a link to donate so that you can receive the Zoom link. And a lot of beautiful mediums. I know Nancy's here. She's in it. Fran is in, Michael Christopher, Kelly. So it's going to be a really beautiful collaboration of all of us. Steve Spur from Texas also. So it's going to be a really fun collaboration to raise additional funds to help the California wildfire relief continue to recover too. So I'm going to make sure I mention that as well. So thank you for giving me the space to share that.
No, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. What a beautiful event then to do. So please support it, guys. Just support each other. We're in the light. The light's getting brighter. So thank you to everybody. Thank you especially to our spiritual guides and inspirers, to those celestial beings, for inspiring this to take place and bringing us all together and helping us as we go through this great change. We're looking forward next time we meet Jennifer, and I can't wait because it will be a question and answer. We're going to do a question and answer session, and I believe, if I can quickly give that date, and then we'll get out of here, it will be on, let's have a look, question and answer, March the 14th. So can't wait for that one either. So thank you, everybody. Especially thank you to Jennifer. Absolutely beautiful, Jennifer. What amazing talk. Take care. Thank you, everybody. Lots of love from Ava, from myself, from Jennifer, from Kelly, and all your support. Trip the light, fantastic, guys. That's it.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thanks,
time. I'll speak
everyone.
very soon.